and then they didn't.
I also I agreed with you.
You did? Yeah, I mean, look, there's going to be in this game, and we've talked about it at some length, this idea of windows, right? Because Singularity, 3 words, ease of execution, right? It's a case of don't mess this up, and you'll probably be okay, but also this game can't really go 35 minutes, because if it does, you have big issues. So there's 3 big questions. One, are Singularity going to be more disciplined than we've seen from them in the split? 2, are they going to have the ability to close out a game or put a game so far beyond doubt before Dusty's composition gets fully online, at which point it becomes exceptionally difficult for them to play? And 3, I didn't actually have a third point, but we'll go with, is Singularity going to be able to do anything big that gets them a nice early lead?
Yeah, and we'll take a look at this. You asked for a big early lead potentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Lane invade coming in.
Yeah, going towards Kerberos, of course, the Kayle in lane is very, very weak in terms of the ability to fight. And it looks like, hold on a second.
I don't think they caught each other.
I don't think they caught each other either. They're going in it very, very late. But note that Singularity's bot lane is on the top side. This is something that we do not see very often. Sion may well be starting on those Raptors, going for that early bit of advantage. But this could be Australia lanes, Jamada.
All right. I mean, this is something that I recall seeing all the way back when. You know, that sort of like lane swap scenario, and that's what they're doing into this KO. Kerberos, he's just gonna die. He's got flash at the very least. He might make the wall, and he will, but one spike, you're just gonna follow him over the wall. That's first blood for the Tristana. Tatui's executed on the bottom side, so let's get a pan down, because he should be finishing off the red buff. Linkus should be cornered off to at least the 1 quadrant of the jungle.
Absolutely, and they're denying these resources. We needed to see Singularity get an advantage in this game. And now I want to see what they decide to do, because the element of surprise was with Singularity. It worked great. They've denied the jungle a lot. Of course, Curb is just going to walk back to lane. No teleport utilized. That is smart. But the question being is, will they be able to do the same again? Because I don't think Curb's going to give them another opening just to go in and kill him.
We'll have to see. Kerberos is going to have, by the looks of it, Stend by his side. And then Voxene has been left on his lonesome into Tatui, which this is certainly a bold strategy. We have not seen lane swapping in feels like eons.
Well, the changes made it harder for you to push down top lane, right? This is what kind of impacted this, because every game about 2 years ago, we were seeing the majority of games, everyone was swapping top.
This is what plates were invented for.
Well, yeah, pretty much. The idea of, look, we're not going to allow you to get these easy pushes because towers are being broken down too quickly. And it looks like Dusty, they're putting on a defense here. They haven't yet shown that Send and Linkers are up here.
Oh, the vision plant.
Oh, yeah, we'll catch them out. So now they're just going to go aggressively. Stend is here to protect Curb. Because, of course, remember that Kayle becomes a ranged champion at level 6, where things become a bit nicer. But I want to see where this bot lane goes, because Braum is already moving down as Link is caught out port, maybe.
Yeah, no, it seems like Porp may be able to just walk away, but the bubble's going to connect. He's going to be asleep. Barkland props the paddle star, and Porp, no flash, is just going to burn down to Barkland. Barkland will pick up the double buffs as well, and that's going to feel particularly bad in a matchup where you would imagine Anivia wants to at the very least keep the lane in the middle.
Now look, it was nice while it lasted.
Yes.
Right. The Drowsy's going to come through. Of course, Barkland's going to have a very nice time in the 1v1. Does need to be careful not to get caught out by CC, because Zoe sometimes have a tendency to think, I can just bounce in, get the damage out, at level 6 especially, and then just bounce away. If Anivia is able to get that CC under tower or just disrupt this Zoe's patterns, things might get a little bit difficult for Barkland.
Interesting. So it looks like we've got Tatui back up on the top side.
Yeah.
And we're having the bot laners match up in the bottom side again. Is there any particular reason for this?
Well, I think the idea being that Singularity went through to the mid lane, they got themselves back in, they lost out in the mid lane, right? So at this point they're saying, look, the element of surprise is gone. Curb is not going to step up. Stend is here as well, so we're essentially hanging out Sion to dry. Top lane's going to be neutralized. So they're not really gaining. They could have got an okay push, but at the same time, with Tristana Braum, you're not going to have a bad time pushing into this bot lane anyway. And with Dragon coming onto the Rift in 10 seconds' time, you need the numbers down there to contest it. Because as we mentioned, for Singularity, this is all about them winning out and playing the first 20, 25 minutes very well. they're even at the moment, and they can't start hemorrhaging stuff like Dragon into that.
Yeah, and I have to say, I'm loving the adaptation, the innovation even.
Yes.
For Season 12. Reading this game particularly well, it seems as they've put Curb fairly behind, but not necessarily a significant amount per se.
Is he even that far behind? Because he's pretty much on parity in terms of farm. Both top laners have died. Looking at gold, 100 gold behind. Your whole game plan in the initial stages was built around putting him behind.
But I will raise you. That's
okay.
He has, at the very least, got himself a fairly significant gold lead. So perhaps the end goal was that.
Well, it's First Blood. That's what the goal lead is. It's 400. It's actually less than First Blood. But Singularity, this is what Trouble was talking about on the desk. Able to create something.
Here we go. We're going to get an engage here. And it seems like Porp is probably just going to drop to all of the burst. Dusty able to, at the very least, pick up the jungler. But will they get more? Sleepy Trouble Bubble does land onto Happy Howl, but he is able to just walk this one away. Dusty, they lose out on the Dragon, but they pick up one.
Which is honestly not that bad, considering early Dragon, it's an ocean. We talked already about how teams aren't that fussed about contesting these. And yes, they were able to funnel Dusty away, and that's going to be big later in the game when you're looking at third, fourth Dragon Baron, or even Herald in a couple of minutes' time. Just that ability to control these neutral objectives could be where Singularity start to build out a little bit of a lead when they're less capable of doing so in terms of skirmishing and fighting.
All right, so seems like Dusty for now will back away.
Absolutely.
Potentially looking at an engagement. But let's get a look at this fight as it happened.
For sure. You can see their levels are not at level 6. The wall goes down, and that's a very aggressive flash coming in from Stend, and Devox, they're just coming through as well. It's really a case of target acquisition, let's see who we can get, and going for members that are going to be able to not escape.
Yeah, and even though it seemed like Pichone had a pretty nice stun there onto multiple members, just too much damage came absolutely. The jungler. As see Tatooine trying to hold a freeze here, maybe trying to make things a little bit awkward for the Kayle, of course. Seems like nothing much will really come of it as Porp returns to his jungle to farm. Udit, not really a champion we've seen too much on 12-10, and it's something that I was hearing whispers would actually be fairly strong moving into sort of a slower game pace where, you know, farming junglers could come back into it. Those are the arguments I was hearing. What are your thoughts?
I'm in two minds, really. The slower pace does allow for Udit to get a little bit more value out of that utility that we see so much from him. Of course, he doesn't do too bad damage, and his clear is very, very good. Looking towards the top side, though.
Yes, Make Smash does connect, and Kerberos is going to be forced to flash away as Porp did pop the Ghost.
Smaller cooldown on the Ghost, though.
Yeah, so a return very likely, if I had to wager a guess from SNG. A lot to try and put this KO behind. But still, again, we have to talk about, I mean, XP doesn't seem that different. The gold, as we flashed up earlier, wasn't too different either.
It's smart itemization from the Kayle, going for the Berserker Greaves first, because a lot of what is happening with the San is going to be those slow CC abilities, and Kayle being able to move away from them quicker is going to be great. They've sent up their bot lane to the top side Singularity once again, because they want to look towards this Rift Herald, and they're utilizing their lane assignments pretty smart, all things considered. I don't know if I'd call the level 1 smart, but it definitely worked. And now they're going to be able to get this Rift Herald.
I mean, I have to say, it was creative play.
Yes.
I would wager. And not only that, SNG, dare I say it, this may be the first neutral objectives in the early game, specifically the Herald, that they've picked up practically uncontested. As Kerberos, a little bit of poke, but Happy Howl is not there in time to assist Spike. So there will be no threat of lethal here.
The thing I want to know is where this Herald is going to go down, because Porp is hanging around top side. If they can break open this top lane and take it down, crucially, it's going to be really, really hard for Kerberos on his top side to play the game. Stend is up there as well. It'll be a 3v2 on the dive. Remember, Kayle will be able to go invulnerable or make the Nautilus invulnerable, as Backland's there as well.
Yeah, and that bubble is going to connect onto Happy Howl. Buckland doesn't quite have the paddle style cooldown just yet, but it will be blocked by the Unbreakable, so no damage will come through, and both teams will disengage.
Yeah, they're on the bot side, Devoxley. This is actually a matchup that we kind of see in the top side sometimes. Devoxley popping the ultimate.
Yeah, Devoxley, final hour popped. Not enough HP to commit to the 1v1. He's able to get away from that. Just about alive without having to burn any summon spells.
But crucially, Tatooine still has the ultimate available, and while you're not necessarily looking to use that in the 1v1 at every single opportunity, if Singularity can try and get something going right now, when Devoxley's attack ability, not in the late game, only got all that one item, Kraken Slayer secured, will make things very difficult for Tatooine in that 1v1. But if you can go as Sar and get around the map a little bit, maybe catch out someone like Curb, then you could be looking to make something good happen. And crucially, we need to see Singularity making stuff happen. We've already talked about it so much. But if the game gets to 30, 35, 40 minutes, it becomes exceptionally difficult for them to play because Curb will be 16. You'll have a Vayne with 2 or 3 items, or 3 or 4 items at that point, and it's going to become nigh on impossible unless you're super quick and you've got so much of a lead. But at that point, you should have finished if you've got a massive lead at 35 minutes.
Yeah, no, I agree, especially if we take a quick look back at how games typically have been on this patch.
Yeah.
Teams with those larger leads at those points in the game have, on trend, been ending in most cases rather than not. We'll see if that is, of course, the case here, as SNG, they are about 1,500 gold down, but I feel like the game state, not too bad for them in the moment, but again, like you said, the Kerberos Kale, the Vayne.
This is the thing, though, because the idea of being okay in this game at this point, with the compositions as they are, that's not really an acceptable state of affairs for Singularity. They've got a little bit of gold back in that charge on the bot side and might be able to crack that one open. But now Dusty grabbed themselves that second dragon, slowing the game down again. Anything that Dusty can do to slow the game down is going to be a tick in their column because they know that they're going to be able to survive through in the later stages. But Tattoo looking for Curb.
Yeah, Tattoo is going to find Curb here. You have to imagine that Divine Intervention will be popped, but that's a very low HP bar. No flash, and Tattoo underneath the tier 1 is just going to find a solo kill onto Kerberos.
Eminez, who? Is all I need to say about that. But this is the power. He can dive through, get himself the ultimate, and Curb, yeah, he has the ultimate available, but when the Kale is on their own at this stage, you're surviving for a little bit longer, but even if you get the kill on that health bar, Sion's got passive. So I don't really know what you can do. You need someone like Stend around. That's why Stend was moving up so much in the earlier stages, because at that stage, it's Sion diving forward, Kale ults themselves, and then the Nautilus has the ultimate, has so much CC, that your Kale is then able to escape or turn around some damage.
All right, so talk to me. How do SNG continue to, at the very least, try and snowball a pressure lead? Right now, they don't have the gold lead, but where do they need to attack the map to actually find something cool? Talk about that right off.
Well, let's have a look at this kill first, because Tattooey, it's really quite straightforward. He lands the bowling ball and then just dives on forward. Doesn't get the knockup, but crucially gets the damage on the end of it. And at that point, Curb is just a little bit too far up in lane. Yes, he has the ultimate. He holds it so he gets on the tower so that it can help him out because he knows that the tower is a little bit stronger on this patch. But ultimately, San's just a little bit too healthy for that one. And we actually might see a run back.
Yeah, might see a run back indeed. Kerberos clipped by the stun.
No ultimate.
Of course, the lethal tempo is up. He's getting some of those autos back in. Will, of course, be able to sustain over time with the heal as well. But Tattooey just kind of bullying Kerberos a little bit in the health department. But again, Kerberos, yes, he did just get solo killed. Yes, he may have lost a wave on the back of it. But again, he's still, you know, relatively close to parry in terms of the XP. And of course, the gold, the other important thing, KO Iron Spikes are, you know, arguably, you could say, just as important as hitting those levels.
Absolutely. Getting those items as you go through is going to be great for Curb, and it's going to make either split pushing, because we know that's what Curb loves to do on a champion, but Kale is also a really, really potent team fighter, especially after level 16. Because at level 11, you can do a lot of damage and ramp things up. Can I... You made a sound.
Oh, no, continue.
Okay. Because at level 11, you can ramp up your damage on the edge of the team fights and then go in when it's all ramped up. At level 16, you don't need to do that. You're automatically just there. So the question you asked earlier is how do SNG kind of keep the pressure on? And the answer is, I think, you have to start breaking down towers. The play's going to fall off in 15 seconds, which is going to make that much, much easier to do it. It looks like they're doing just that on the top side. But they need to put themselves in a position where contesting neutral objectives and, crucially, getting to them first is the default rather than the exception. Because if you can do that, we saw what happened at First Dragon. As we mentioned then, if they can do that around stuff like Baron, Second Herald isn't as important, but getting it will help them play to this game plan a little bit sooner. But ultimately, when you get to those 25, 30-minute team fights, there needs to be so few objectives on the map that winning one of those team fights can allow you to push into the base at the very least.
All right, so towers are the name of the game.
Yeah, I think so.
For SNG, I'd say maybe trying to suffocate Dusty out of as many objectives as they can through that route, but for now, it will be Dusty pushing the likes of SNG off of this objective. I believe Happy How actually based off the back of that play, so numbers advantage is firmly in Dusty's command, and they will pick up this Herald almost leashed and for free. And where would you want to see this Herald used recently? Second Herald, we know, typically doesn't have as much value as...
I think...
How?
Yeah, it's not necessarily used to get gold, but to get objectives and towers down. Bringing down mid lane tower is going to be pretty big here. Anivia, one of those wave clear bots that you've got down there.
Earlier.
Yeah, exactly. We were talking about this with Victor, I believe, in the mid lane. And being able to spread that open takes away that safety net a little bit. And again, it's the opposite of what we just said. Opens up the map, allows you to get that slightly deeper vision in, especially in the mid lane. And if you're fighting around stuff like Dragon, Herald, Baron, well, not Herald anymore, but Baron certainly, it removes a safe haven that the enemy can retreat to. And for Singularity, they've got a decent amount of disengage, so they might be okay getting back to something like that tower. But an extended chase from someone like the Vayne, who of course we know is very good at doing that, Nautilus as well, it could be the difference between a kill and not a kill in these skirmishes at like the 20-minute mark.
All right. Thank you very much. As Dusty seem to look to set up around this dragon, trying to push their vision line up just a touch. As even Kerberos with no teleport seems to want to come down to get involved in the action. For dragon fights, they've been very important today, Will. Who do you think is the stronger of the two?
I think it's difficult to say, honestly. I'm just looking at the items. Crucially, Curb hasn't hit a big item spike just yet, but we're going to have to hold that point.
Right. Yeah, on-top onslaught is going to be dodged away from. Barkland is forced to flash away, and now SNG are taking control of the river here. Dusty a little bit split on two fronts.
Dragon's helping them, though.
Yeah, Dragon kind of helping them as well. SNG, they're going to burn this one down. The Sleepy Trouble Bubble doesn't connect, and now the fight is going to ensue. It's Porp that secures the smite, but look at the middle of it. As Dusty, they're actually going to survive on the front line, but it's the junglers that are just duking it out in the pit itself. Porp will lose as the rest of Dusty just flash over the wall. They're hit with the wall, but that Sleepy Trouble Bubble is going to connect onto the Scion. Paddle Star will connect. Scion does end up dropping. Tatoi unable to escape his sins. SNG, they pick up the dragon, but they lose two. How worth is that for them?
I mean, getting the dragon is really, really good. Massive credit to Porp under pressure, securing that objective. This is something that we've seen a little bit from Porp so far this split already. But we've been positive about his general jungling acumen. Doing that again is very, very nice. But again, it's just a case of we need to see Singularity making gains in this game. Grabbing yourself a second dragon, that's at least 10 minutes that you're going to have to wait for Soul Point. Assuming that you get all the other dragons moving forward. And losing out on those kills makes the next dragon take harder. Because the enemy team, especially giving one to Den Voxnay, is going to make things difficult. Fighting is never going to be easier than that because Curb just picked up his mythic item and a half-bound axe on the side as well. So Kale has started, this is the first big spike, right? So she's going to be able to rip through the likes of Tattoo on the side lane now much more effectively. But let's have a look at how this fight really kicks off because honestly, Dusty giving so much respect to what that can be done here by Singularity, especially in Nivea. Diving forward, securing the dragon is good. The junglers can't just do their own thing, it's whatever. But Stend just survives so long with the ultimate coming down from Curb, and then Dusty chasing on through. They really want to be extending this just a little bit. I don't know if they needed to expend those flashes, in all honesty, but really, really nice play from Backlund as well, quietly going about his business, getting that sleep, and does allow his team to secure the kill. Backlund, someone who has been, I mean, throughout the entire split, has kind of been quietly going about his business, but has been very, very effective in that mid lane for Dusty so far, and in this game, it's really no different.
Yep, no, totally agree with you. Zoe, Barkland, this game has been crucial to finding so many extra picks so far for Dusty. And like you say, quite a few flashes expended for the back end of that.
Yeah,
so I mean, I'm curious to see whether or not that will end up buying the Dusty team.
I don't think it will, crucially because they'll be up by the next time Dragon spawn, or Dragon's going to be taken. Not exactly on spawn because the time is all the same. But Baron's up in a minute. I don't think that Singularity are going to do a bad Baron, a silly Baron, an X7 Baron, if you will. They can do it reasonably quickly. You've got the likes of Tristana and Nivea who do manage to do a lot of damage. Udra as well, surprisingly, pretty decent at taking these neutral objectives. But Curb is doing Curb things on the side. He knows that he can't overextend too much on his own right now, but you've got members who are being pulled away. He's creating so much space for the rest of his team to go in and potentially look for a tower dive.
Yeah, Tatooine could be in danger here. Stend potentially eyeing up the dredge line, but Tatooine will use the unstoppable onslaught to get away.
That tower's forfeit now, is the thing.
Yeah.
Really, really nice from Stend. Just a step forward, be aggressive, even if he didn't want to necessarily take that fight, which he would have been fine with. He had Den Voxnay there, he had support from Linkus as well. He's just forcing the ultimate away, saying, look, if you step back, I'm here, and you're going to die. So he's just keeping him back. And on the other side of the map, Singularity don't gain anything. We talk about this so frequently. What is gained on the other side of the map when a play is made? The play was made there by Dusty. Top side, get tower, maybe get a kill if the top lane is not smart. Tatooine was smart and left. On the bottom side, no one from Singularity's there, so nothing was gained. And again, 3K gold lead for Dusty. Singularity needs to be ahead at this point.
This 3K gold lead probably feels
Singularity.
And we asked to not see an X7 Baron, but
it's going down very quickly.
It is going down quite quickly, but Spicione does have blue buff, so he can keep this one going for a while. The rest of Dusty are starting to pincer in. It's Kerberos on the top side. The rest of the core team are approaching from the bottom side. That's a Sleepy Trouble Bubble onto the support, and he's going to get one shot almost. Heavy How in the middle of the pit bites the Cyclone from Linkus. That is going to tear apart SNG. The Baron is stolen. Tatoe's dead. Spikey's dead. SNG's hopes are in the mud.
Nah, that's it. Legitimately, the facts of the matter, like, let's see how this goes down again. So Singularity stunned up. As you can see, they do it pretty quickly. Nivea's doing a decent amount of work on it, Spikey as well. But this is a very telegraphed. No one's on vision, so they know they're somewhere. Kerberos is the one who gets vision down, and everyone from Dusty's in mid lane. Singularity have no information about anyone on Dusty being bottom side, and right there the damage comes through. Then Voxley is allowed to free fire. Yeah, gets hit by the Glacial Fissure, but who cares? Members are low. MR has been rinsed, so Kerb is just ripping people to shreds. And at the end of the day, doesn't really matter who gets Baron out of that one. It was Dusty in the end, which might just speed things up. But the fact of the matter is, and we said this about X7 last game as well, there was so little logic behind that shot call.
I can only nod my head and agree. That was a perplexing Baron attempt at best. And now Barkland has an angle for a Sleep Trouble Bubble, and he's going to connect onto the AD carry of SNG, who doesn't have cleanse, but there was no one else to follow up from Dusty. The wall does aid in that effort as a Hextech Gate will be taken, but on the front side, Port gets locked down by Sten. Then Voxley is forced to flash backwards as Spike actually jumps forward, gets condemned into the wall, but all of a sudden, it's Hebehao that gets bursted on the frontliners. All of SNG are focusing down then Voxley, but on the backside, the Anivia is getting taken down. Then Voxley is still kiting out as Tatoe just dances to his death. SNG torn apart from side to side, and Dusty pick up the dragon.
If Dusty weren't 9K down, that was the fight they wanted. Because you can see the idea. We can get access onto the likes of Vayne. We can jump onto them, kill them, remove half the damage. Well, like 45% of the damage, because Zoe's doing a decent amount as well. Kerb on the side will be doing fine at level 13 with those almost 2 item spikes. The problem is, they couldn't get that final hit onto Den Voxley. And you can watch it here. Look at Den Voxley. He's aggressively placing. Port can run forward, and there's a lot of damage coming through. A lot of cutoff is being utilized, but it's just a masterclass from Den Voxley, who's able to shred back. He maybe could have even thought about just leaving there and then, but he thinks, I've got this. The CC from Linkers is pivotal to keep Spike away, because he's the one that will have the opportunity to actually close the distance. Tatooine knows he's not catching Den Voxley, but you can see how if Den Voxley was a little bit further behind, or someone like Pop had a little bit more on him, maybe even just some more health to allow him to get that one bear slap down, get the stun. The rest of Singularity were there. The problem is Singularity can't play the way their composition is built because they're too far behind at this point in the game. And if they can't play how their composition's built, and their shot calling this game past the 3rd minute mark wasn't brilliant.
Ooh, it's a dive from Linkus. He's got the Cyclone on, and Tatoe is not long for this world at all. He'll be bursted down in the zombie form, and SNG quite simply will not be able to defend this tier 2 tower. Hebehao is now even being bullied out of his own jungle by Barkland. His paddle star prepped, but seems like will not follow up on anything. And Dusty just have control of the game entirely. They are looking to push and knock on to the inhibitor towers here. Trying to split apart SNG. SNG, I mean, Hebehao is just playing catch on the top side of the screen, but Sten flashes over the wall onto Port. He gets dredge lined, he gets depth charged, and he is dead to rights. SNG's jungler dead. Top laner just about to respawn. That's the first inhibitor of what I can only imagine will be, at the very least, one more before this game is done. Dusty will retreat through the Hex Gates. Likely reset.
They're going to reset, they're going to buy items, not overextending it is nice. This is the problem here for Singularity that I'm seeing. This is kind of a get a flight to Dusty, start cutting some Ethernet cables angle. Although Backland overextending.
Kind of overextended here. Doesn't have flash. Blast code isn't going to be hit here. But Barkland Not in vision for now of Tristana. No rocket jump available. It's going to try and teleport out. This is cheeky. No way! Has the time to do it. Thumbs up.
That was so close to the one shot as well. And being able to land that, knowing that they're in there. If there was a back there, that was dead. But Backlund having that teleport. I mean, teleport blown. Flash blown.
I can't believe it. I mean, even if that's the case, it's a mental when it feels.
Linkers might be overextended a little bit here. Has Sten and Voxley moving through. And I mean, the Vayne being there is crucial.
Yeah, and then Voxley is just being untouched right now, layering auto after auto with the Guinsos stacked up. Absolutely shreds through Happy Howl yet again. Vayne, crucially, just can't really be locked down by many members. The SNG lineup. Now Kerberos in the mid lane, level 15, 2v1ing already. As on the bottom side. Unstoppable Onslaught goes into the wall, and then Voxley, I think, is just going to take his 10th kill of the game. Legendary again. As Dusty look to pick up their 4th win of the split. Pushing onto the second inhibitor, and it will fall. 4 versus 5, SNG, what can you pull out here? The answer looks to be not a lot. Spiky again just gets near one shot by Backlund, who himself doesn't really have too much HP to work with. It's now or never, SNG, if you want to make a stand, but I just don't think the stand is coming. Pichone almost finds Backlund, but it's still not enough. As SNG down to nothing but their bare Nexus, as it seems like Dusty take the cheeky exit out, as fair enough, Kerberos does have to flash, but the damage feels more than done.
I mean, look, let's talk a little bit about some hope. I know that Gulborg's word was optimism when it came into this one. And I mean,
I liked optimism.
Singularity have played much better this game than they did on Monday. So there is that. There were some good ideas. My problem is, and I talked a lot about this with Nymera last split, the idea of saying, look, Singularity at the moment aren't winning games the conventional way, so they have to start doing unconventional stuff to either get a lead or to win, right?
Yeah.
Because player to player, gram for gram, they're not standing up to these other teams. The problem with that is that if your team isn't matching up gram to gram, there are other things wrong with your composition. Getting a first blood top is good. Going for the Australian lanes was very interesting, and hey, going with Tristana and Braum, that's really smart. This comp was clearly designed with this idea in mind. My concern is they got the start that they wanted, but then nothing really materialized. And Dusty, I mean, Dusty are a very good side, let's not forget. I want to see how Singularity going to do into a weaker team in the next couple of weeks, and to see if this kind of thing they could gain a small advantage in the early game would be enough, because hey, a reasonable advantage was gained against X7 on Monday by Riddle, and they managed to snowball this one. Maybe Singularity to find a game against X7 soon.
Ooh, maybe they do, but this fight starts out with Happy Howl getting chunked out heavily, and the Cyclone is going to knock up way too many members. Dusty, in less than 5 seconds, get through the entirety of SNG, and then Voxley isn't even going to allow Pichone to escape. Picks up his 11th and what should be his final kill of the game, as Dusty close out on SNG, and they take themselves up 4-2 in the standings.
Well, I mean, we talked about the fact that Singularity needs to be disciplined.